Guys, did you hear that? An emergency situation has arose. You can hear the alarm. Apparently, a Rangers fan has got inside Celtic Park. Scotland's two biggest and most successful football clubs share one of the most fierce and intense rivalries in world football. Two enormous fan bases, two iconic stadiums, separated by just a few miles here in Glasgow. But today, ladies and gents, I'm putting that rivalry to one side. We're asking one simple question: which club offers the best stadium tour for the neutral football fan, the one with no dog in the fight, like me? So I'm obviously English, dressed more for Benidorm than Glasgow. Why on earth did I think wearing shorts here would be a good idea? So we've been all over Europe making videos for this YouTube channel, obviously starting off in England, but moving on to Germany, to Belgium, to Holland, to Italy, to Spain, but never bloody Scotland. But today we make a change. We've got lots of good videos coming your way from right here in sunny Glasgow. So today, a Friday, I've got two stadium tours booked, the obvious two, Celtic and Rangers. This video, of course, is going to be about comparing the stadium tours. We're not going to get too deep into the history of both clubs. That's not in an ignorant way. I'm going to give each club its flowers, its justice, as we're going to upload an individual video all about Celtic, a bit more in depth, and of course all about their incredible history. This is a portrait of brother Wilfred. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. This is really significant because he is the man behind the creation of Celtic. This is confirmation, site of Rangers' first ever game, bomb. Fun fact, we may as well drop one out. Let's not do that in the car park. They are the first British football club to win the European Cup. Of course, they'd win the European Cup back in 1967. Obviously, you know, I grew up a Manchester United fan. United would win that European Cup 1 year later in 1968, but Celtic did it first. Lots more facts, but you're gonna have to hold off for the next video. So let's crack on, hit that like button, subscribe for the individual videos of both Rangers out and Celtic. But let's find out today in this video, if you're heading this way, if you're heading towards Glasgow, maybe you're short on time, maybe you can only choose one, Celtic or Rangers, which is the best stadium tour? Let's crack on. So I'm going to be comparing the Old Firm on 4 different categories. Price, was the tour value for money? We're also going to look at stadium wow factor. We're also going to look at history and storytelling. Of course, that involves the tour guide. How well did he tell those stories? And finally, behind the scenes access. What exactly do they show you on the tour? So, ladies and gents, who will come out on top of this stadium tour showdown? Let's start off at Celtic Park with a cheeky look around the outside. Right guys, over in the distance is the Celtic FC Superstore. Let's head over there, see what's in the shop, maybe even get some merch. Let's bloody go. Right guys, I know I said I was going to do 4 categories for this comparison, but I'm going to be honest, the staff were so nice in that shop. They didn't even try and sell me stuff, just through their own kindness and intrigue and friendliness. I've ended up buying loads of stuff in the Celtic club shop. So not only can't even talk, not only are we going to be rating on the actual tour, I'm also going to include the shop. Why not? It's part of the stadium tour experience, isn't it? Normally they finish the tours with a little nudge to go and spend some money in the club shop. Well, I'm not spending any more money because I've spent a hell of a fortune in that shop. We've got about 20 minutes to the tour. Again, don't kick off quite yet, Rangers fans, because I'll equally share the love in the Rangers shop. I'm going to really stir the pot by wearing both shirts. I'm not one of those 50-50 scarf types of people normally, but unfortunately today I might become one of those people. So let's get a shirt on and get on that tour. Let's go. Hold fire. Change of plan. I'd love to wear this on the tour. I think it would be better to not upset people in this video and wear both in the same video, but my reason I'm not going to open this is that normally when you pick a shirt off the rail, you get that shirt that's hanging up, but oh no, it's Celtic. They've got the pre-packed shirts like you'd get if you bought them online. Now, I've actually bought a fake version off DHgate of both the new Celtic home shirt, which this is, and the new Rangers home shirt. So instead, let's create a different video where we can actually compare a real versus fake Rangers and Celtic shirt. So hold fire for that video. Here we go then guys, tour starts here in the sports bar. Beautiful picture. So stadium tours here start from the sports bar, pretty much what you'd expect from a sports bar, with lots of memorabilia and throwbacks proudly displayed on the walls. It's here where we're met by our lovely tour guide Manus, who then proceeds with the tour as we make our way to this beautiful room packed with trophies, medals, shirts, essentially a shrine to the success and incredible history of Celtic Football Club.
Couple of wee things about the Scottish Cup. I mean, I'll tell you about the history of Celtic shortly, but a couple of things about the Scottish Cup. That's the oldest trophy in world football. The FA Cup in England is an older tournament, but what happened one time many years ago, it went to Birmingham when Aston Villa had won it. Somebody pinched the trophy, so they had to get a replacement. So that's the oldest trophy. Okay, and interesting enough, see when we won the Scottish Cup, the winning team at Hampden, Scotland's national ground, actually get the actual Scottish Cup. They're presented with the actual Scottish Cup. When they do the lap of honour, that's also the actual Scottish Cup. When they leave Hampden to come back to Celtic Park, they get a replica. So the actual Scottish Cup never leaves Hampden.
We then make our way to the home team dressing room, which looks similar to most big clubs these days. Lots of LED lighting, a big open space with all the mod cons. Apparently this drain is for all the champagne. Easy access to clean up when Celtic win all their trophies, and apparently Henrik Larsson would sit over in the corner. We then proceed to line up, ready to make our way down the tunnel and pitch side. Again, we've done so many stadium tours on this channel and it's unusual to be pitch side this early. Normally tours tend to finish up here, but we then proceed to the padded seats and a spectacular view of Celtic Park. I'll be honest, I was a little bit surprised that the tour finished here as we hadn't seen some key areas. Normally you get to see the press room where a manager and co sit when they're being interviewed. Normally you tend to go inside some hospitality areas and executive boxes. None of that, and for a big club of Celtic size, I'm baffled why they don't have a standalone museum like their arch rivals do. So with that in mind, let's head over to the home of Rangers and check out Ibrox. So then guys, first impressions of Ibrox compared to Celtic Park. So far, you can tell it definitely is a little more rugged, a little bit more old school. Celtic Park did feel somewhat polished. I mean, a lot of the stands were built in 94, 95, so not too long ago. We'll find out when these were built in a moment. But with that said, you know, if you're a subscriber of the channel, I love the gritty old school grounds. Now, we've not been to the front quite yet. You'd have heard of the name Archibald Leach many a time on this channel. Famous Scottish architect, famous for building loads of iconic football stands, grounds. So we'll leave that to last. Let's go this way and check out the exterior. Let's go. So guys, unlike Celtic, you can see from this sign over here, Rangers Museum. Now we have both a museum and a stadium tour booked here at Ibrox. So the big difference obviously is that the Celtic Park tour lasted just over 1 hour. Obviously was cheaper because of that, and it didn't have a separate museum. Obviously we looked at all the trophies and everything within the ground, but this does have a separate one and the tour is 2 hours long. Now from this side of the ground, it's not the prettiest. From a distance it does look like a generic block of council flats. Nothing wrong with a council flat, but it does remind me of flats. It doesn't look like your typical exterior of a football ground. Of course this is the less pretty one. We'll get onto the Archibald Leach one in a moment. It really is a shame that we've got loads of parked vehicles outside. It takes away that traditional look of the stand. This is definitely a lot more close to busy things, roads, etc. Celtic Park seemed a little bit more spacious around the outside, but I'll quite happily trade space for this. What a beautiful looking stand. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Yep guys, right in front of me is the shop. Of course we went to the rival shop earlier on and bought some stuff, so we're going to try and do the same sort of thing in this shop. I was going to chicken out and get my trousers on. I'm absolutely bloody freezing. It's colder outside Ibrox than it was Celtic Park. I don't know if that's just the time of day or whether genuinely this part of Glasgow is a little bit nippier. Who knows? I'm going to be a man. I'm going to man up and keep my shorts on. But let's get inside the shop. Okay, so I do need to be a little bit careful waving this around in the car park of Ibrox. but I thought I'd do a little bit of a price comparison with what I've bought from each shop. Of course, in each shop we've bought a scarf, we've bought a flag with the club crest on, and we've bought the newly released home shirt for each. Now at Celtic, they did the typical thing where you'd have a fan version and an authentic player version. I went for the fan version at 75 Great British pounds. Now, from what I could see in the shop at Ibrox, they only do one type, manufactured now by Umbro, not by Castor. I only found one type of shirt, and that was for £85. People walking past, let's cover up the Celtic. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I could only see one type. There was no heat press badge, they were all embroidered badges. Lots of home shirts actually still in stock, which was cool because it's a beautiful shirt. If I'm just saying my favourite of the two, as a neutral, aesthetically, it's hard to make green and white hoops different every season, so I do get it, but the new Rangers home shirt is absolutely beautiful. But with that said, I've got the prices in front of me. For pretty much like-for-like items, you'll find that Celtic are actually a little bit cheaper. So in total at the Celtic shop, I spent £92.50. But the scarf was one of those thinner silk scarves, so naturally a little bit cheaper, whereas they didn't do those silk scarves, or they're not in stock at the moment. I had to go for, you know, your standard thicker scarf. So a little bit more expensive scarf, an extra £10 for the shirt from Rangers, although I would say it was somewhere between a fan and a player version. It kind of felt like a player version, but had the embroidery of a fan version. With that said though, just now in the Rangers shop, I've spent a staggering £104.50. So that's an extra £12.50 it's cost me in a Rangers shop compared to the Celtic shop. So I guess, again, I'd say in terms of choice, size of the shop, etc., I'm going to go for shop v shop items. I don't want to say it too loudly, again, being in the Ibrox car park, but I'm going to say the initial winner for this category is going to be Celtic. Cheaper and a little bit more variety in the shop.
So guys, if you are coming on a Rangers stadium tour, or maybe to pop in the museum, don't follow the signs, because as you can see, Rangers store, Rangers museum is directing you this way, but it's all closed off. Unfortunately, I've been in the shop and they've told me don't go over here, go back to the shop, because near the entranceway of the shop is where the tour is going to begin. So I've got about 20 minutes. Let's sink the Iron Brew energy. Just spoke to a subscriber, forgot to grab your name, make sure you do comment below. And he said, Roy, don't be turning up in DH Gate shirts, make sure you get a proper one. And I've done that already, so don't let my reputation beat me down. Let's get on that tour, let's go, cheers.
Yep, Iron Brew in hand, we headed off to the tour, which begins from the ground floor of the shop, where again we're met by our tour guide. Now our tour guide is a lovely man, and he did politely ask the group to keep his identity somewhat low key after some naughty people started twisting his words online. My suspicion is he might be the reason for the alarm going off at Celtic Park. I'm obviously joking. So we head over to that beautiful stand through that grand entrance, which coincidentally reminded me of Highbury, Arsenal's old ground. I wonder why. Archibald Leach. Sorry. Then we head upstairs to what is known as the Blue Room, which, let's be honest, is absolutely beautiful. The original floor lies beneath that blue carpet, and it runs adjacent to the old manager's office, where you'll find pictures of key managers in Rangers history, like William Wilton. We'll obviously find out more about him in that separate Rangers video. If you haven't already, guys, support the channel. All you got to do is tap that like button. It costs nothing. Thanks, and let's move on to one of the most fascinating rooms you'll ever see. So this is mostly filled with gifts from Rangers' European opponents. If you didn't know, it's kind of a mark of respect that when you visit a club for a European game, you come with a gift. Now most clubs bring something similar, like a vase. Not Saint Etienne, they brought a bloody bike. Back downstairs, and unlike Celtic, Rangers show you the away dressing room, which, let's be honest, is pretty bloody basic.
and has strategically high up hooks for the shirts. This is supposed to make them feel small and inferior. The room is also located right next to the turnstiles, so rowdy Rangers fans get to torment them on their way into Ibrox. Now you'll see a contrast as we head into the home dressing room. Yeah, nice. Here we go, this is what the players will experience. So yeah, finishes up pitch side, but again I can't help but feel somewhat disappointed for the same reasons I did at Celtic Park. They keep you within the same stand, albeit a lovely stand, so both teams don't really offer a great deal in terms of a pitch view from different angles of the stadium. However, Rangers do have a standalone museum at the top of the shop. As we keep saying guys, we'll dive deeper into the history in the follow-on video, so let's head back to Football Paradise HQ and declare our winner. So guys, we've done a hell of a lot of stadium tours on the channel. That was, or they were should I say, one of the most unique sets of changing rooms I've ever seen. Very old school, very traditional, very much my style, and of course located in the famous main stand designed by Archibald Leach. As we saw earlier on, the Blue Room, he said he took inspiration from what was the ship called, the one that came after the Titanic. He took inspiration from the interior of a ship being built locally, and you can really see that in the design, that original wood. Very, very classy.
Ladies and gents, back at Football Paradise HQ. I don't know why it's so dark in here, but we need to find a winner. We need to declare a winner of this face-off, this stadium tour showdown. Now, as we said, Celtic are currently they've currently got a 1-0 lead. They won the club shop battle, but of course we've got the price, the value for money showdown. We've got the stadium wow factor, we've got history and storytelling, and of course behind the scenes access, which was fairly average, we must admit. So let's rate them. I mean, I'm not going to rate them out of 5 if we were to. I don't think they would be incredibly generous scores on either side, but going head to head, I'm going to say price wise, Celtic being £19.50, Rangers being £29. I know that they've got the museum, but in reality, the actual tour bit with the tour guide itself wasn't much longer than the Celtic one. So obviously you've got that museum added on, but the actual stadium tour itself was pretty like for like, and for that reason, I'm going to give Celtic a 2-0 lead. Celtic win, price, value for money, as they're like £9.50 cheaper. So, stadium wow factor, we're going to leave until the end. Next one up, history and storytelling. Again, we can't talk about that museum and just dismiss it. Loads more history to discover, to explore at Ibrox compared to Celtic Park. Lots on display. Manus did a good little spiel in that awesome room with all the trophies and stuff at Celtic Park. But they're a massive club. They deserve a really, really big museum and a lot more credit for their incredible history. So for that reason, it's going to be 2-1. I'm giving that point to Rangers. They've won history and storytelling. I think the tour guides were pretty like for like, both really good. Again, I'm going to keep the identity of the Rangers one top secret because he politely asked for that to happen. Behind the scenes access, as I said, it's quite rare. In England, when you go to a stadium tour, you 99% of the time will be behind the desk where managers get interviewed, the press room, whatever it is, and they take you through all the hospitality areas where they basically try and sell you the VIP packages and show you what the experience will involve. You normally go into executive boxes. There's normally a lot more to explore. You normally go around different stands. I must admit, again, no hate on the Scottish, absolutely love Scotland as a country, but so far, stadium tours, quite basic. However, the behind-the-scenes access, considering we went in the away changing rooms as well as the home, I think Rangers did edge it. I think that cool little room with all the gifts from Europe, again, definitely edged it. So behind the scenes, Rangers, that pulls back a 2-0 lead. Rangers, you've done really well. Celtic 2, Rangers 2. So that leaves that final category. As I said, stadium wow factor. Now, this was really hard. This was almost flip of a coin. We know that Celtic Park's the bigger one with over 60,000. However, bigger isn't always better, as my girlfriend keeps telling me. I think that incredible Archibald Leitch designed stand, one of the oldest still existing pieces of Archie's work, again, especially considering he's a Rangers fan. I think he gave it extra special care. And it reminded me, I mean, if you go to Highbury, the former home of Arsenal, even though it's now flats, the lobby area, the reception is still pretty similar to what it was when Arsenal played there. And I can imagine, well, I don't need to imagine, I've been to both. It's not too dissimilar, that beautiful entranceway at Rangers. So for me, if we're talking wow factor, for my own personal taste, I'm going to declare the winner. 2-2 at the moment. Who's going to make it 3-2? There we go. Rangers for me, ladies and gents, have edged this ever so slightly. Do you disagree? Get involved in the comments below. Of course, this is a light-hearted stadium tour video, as I keep saying. We visited all kinds of sites, exploring the history of both clubs, taking no sides, even though Rangers won this one. There's some really cool sites we visited over the history of Celtic as well as Rangers, but that's not all. We explore the incredible history of football in Glasgow. We went to Sheffield and called it the home of football, but we joined forces with Glasgow football tours along with the Football Square Mile, and we start to learn that maybe, just maybe, Scotland have an argument as the founders, as the creators of the game we know and love today, the modern version anyway. So that's a video you definitely want to check out, so make sure you are subscribed. And again, really enjoyed that. I would say as well, stadium wow factor, it's not just the exterior of that stand. I must say that crisscross lattice, again a trademark of Archibald Leitch, was probably the icing on the cake for me. Apologies, Celtic fans. Thanks for watching. Apologies again for this being a little bit of a delayed upload. As you probably saw from the live stream or on Instagram, I was involved in a bloody car crash lately. We've had all sorts of stuff going on, but we're back and loads more content coming your way. So hit that like button, as I said, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.